What's up, guys? Another day, another dollar. As the title of this YouTube video, I spent the first 3 to 4 hours this morning when I woke up watching Clavicle podcasts. If you don't know, he's like a Blackpill, like looks maxing creator who is completely maxed out. He's going to max out all of his traits, essentially. And I will say, after watching these podcasts, I would say he's my favorite of these types of creators. You know what I'm saying? There are some that I don't like, and I actually respect the guy for 2 reasons. 1, his dedication, and 2, his reason for going down this path. From my understanding, he does it from a completely logical sense that his belief is that looks are the most important trait, and first impressions are also the most, like, they're within the same. And that logically, when maxing yourself out, this is to my understanding, I could be wrong. Logically, when maxing yourself out, let's say your intelligence, looks, your job, money. Damn, I look terrible, man. I took the braids out last night. Shit. See, I'm not looks maxed, that's my problem. But basically, looks are an undeniable that you have to put a lot of effort into, and he does. Now, I'll tell you where I actually, after watching, and I've always felt this way, and you can kind of see it, where I agree with Blackpill and where I draw the line as to where I no longer agree with it. From my understanding with Blackpill, looks, to them, looks are the most important thing. Looks are extremely important. It is basically the end-all be-all. Looks are everything. I think looks are extremely important, and if you watch my other videos, I think they're important. Like, no doubt. Like, to sit there and say looks don't matter, just be confident, because there is like a whole sect of people that say that. It's just not true at all. I think looks matter. I think it definitely matters. And I think it's definitely worth putting effort into. If you saw my video a couple days ago about looks, I said the same thing. I said it matters, and here's the reasons why it matters. Where I disagree with Blackpill is that it's absolute and everything, which I don't agree with. I don't think it's absolutely 100% everything, because that's, and the second place where I draw the line of where I disagree with Blackpill is the guys that, and maybe I'm conflating 2 separate groups, but I used to look in those incel forums and stuff, and they all claim to be Blackpill, and a huge majority of them hated women and wanted to commit violence on groups of women. Now, obviously, I don't agree with that. Now, maxing out your looks and saying that looks is an extremely important thing, it is important, and first impressions are, I think, are extremely important. But I draw the line at it's 100% of everything. For me, personally, you may disagree. A lot of people may disagree. I don't think it's 100% of everything. And then I don't believe the groups that hate women and want to, hurt them. But I think maybe those 2 groups are getting conflated, because used to be maybe like a year or 2 years ago, a lot of the people on the incel forums and stuff that were saying these like horrible things, they wanted to like torture and kill a bunch of women. They were like claiming Blackpill. But if those are separate groups, then I feel like it should be made, more distinct. It doesn't seem like, I didn't get that vibe from Clavicle at all from his podcast. He is taking it to the absolute max, and I think the thing I admire about him is the fact that he went this far. You know what I'm saying? To be that dedicated to anything. The reason and he suggests everybody do that. The reason I personally couldn't do that is because I just don't want to be, I do get an obsessive almost thing, like an obsessive vibe with looks from him, because it almost has to be borderline obsessive, almost in the same way that a bodybuilder is obsessed with their physique. Like he was talking about Rich Piana, and how he looked up to Rich Piana a lot, and Rich Piana would do anything essentially for this physique, to the point where it killed him. And don't get me wrong, dude, Rich Piana was fucking massive, and I believe Clavicle will also look like a supermodel by the time he's done. Don't get me wrong. The reason, and he suggests that people do this, or even like improve their looks. I agree with everyone doing like improving their looks, because it seems like the basic Blackpill stuff, which from my understanding is called softmaxing, basically means just doing, it's like basic hygiene stuff that I've always understood is like basic, like work out, get lean, you know, get a tan, stuff like that, which I feel is like basic looks things that I don't know if that's like a term for that, but I thought everyone sort of understood. The reason that I personally don't think I could go down this path is because of what a lot of, like, I don't think I'm a supermodel, right? And he was saying examples, like he was showing like the measurements and stuff of people, you know, and like what is considered like ultimate, I don't know what the term is, I don't know, true atom of like the super duper attractive people, perfect measurements and shit. Obviously I'm nothing like that. I don't even think, you know, I'm not even like supermodel level, but I also don't think I'm ugly to the point where I'm pretty okay with how I look, so I don't think I could go down that route. I do agree that everyone should do like things to make themselves look better, because once again, looks are important, but I don't believe they're absolute everything. I'm trying to see how he came to that conclusion though. When he was talking about like his, like how he came to these conclusions basically based on how people treat him. And I see how most Blackpill people come to these conclusions, because I think one of the things he said is that on Fridays he was like never really invited to go anywhere, and he saw a lot of people having fun. I feel like the same way in high school. I never really got invited to anything in high school, and then I, you know, I'd watch people go to do fun things, and I could agree. I could feel that, because I remember I didn't feel good when that happened, and the attractive people got to go to stuff. And then also he was a bouncer, which a bouncer is a really interesting job, because I've known a couple bouncers. They see a lot of nightlife and stuff. They see a lot of different things, aspects of nightlife. But you know, and I've known some bouncers who have had their worldviews permanently changed. Different reasons though. His was, he said he saw the people that went home with the pretty girls every night, and always tended to be the attractive people. And I think that's 100% true, but in the context of a club and nightlife, I think it's hard, at least in my mind, to take nightlife as absolute, because nightlife is kind of its own thing. I think it's very vain, it's very vanity, it's very like, if you get, you know what I'm saying, it's very like, oh, I see you within 5 seconds, very just quick interactions, hookups and stuff like that, which I actually nowadays I try and stay away from, because I don't really enjoy that much. But in the context of nightlife, he's absolutely right. If you're super attractive, those guys get the girls, because it's within such a quick sort of interaction and stuff. You don't really get to know anyone. And he saw that, and and I could be wrong. I've only watched 4 hours, and I bet he has hundreds and hundreds of hours of content. He saw that, and he came to those conclusions, like, well, height, looks, this, that, the other. And I could see how most people would come to that conclusion and work in that job. But either way, I could see how a lot of people get into Blackpill. I do think that the incel part of it, I think there should be a line drawn, and I think there should be 2 separate communities if they're not already, because I'm not super educated. Because like, I think Blackpill can turn into something darker a lot of times. I do think the basis is true, but I also, I personally believe that the answer is somewhere in the middle after watching, and I'm just kind of spitballing. You can disagree with me, you can, I'm just giving my like unfiltered sort of like thoughts after watching. I literally just finished it. I got in my car, thought about the podcast. Blackpill, I feel like it's like, to me, it seems that looks are almost absolute. I don't agree that it's absolute, but 100% you can't deny from like, I don't know, research, you know, money making, how to get girls. It's extreme, it's important. But then on the other side of that, I think what they call blue pill is, oh no, looks don't matter, just be confident. Obviously, that, I guess, be confident is like an important thing to do, but I think that's not the case for everyone. I don't think that's like, to completely just disregard looks and how you look and shit like that is just, that doesn't even make sense. Because if you like are fat and look like a rapist, you know what I'm saying? You're like, there's always the effect that like good looking people doing something get better response from it than when ugly people do the same thing. But that's not new. So obviously looks matter, but I do believe that it's not absolute. I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. I think because they're both such extremes, you know what I mean? Like, looks are important, they're not everything, but also like, yeah, be confident, you know, like be sociable, don't be like obsessive over things. That's my personal view. Like, I feel like it would affect me in other areas if I were to be extremely obsessive about something like that, you know, where it's like vanity almost, but like I think it would affect me personally, maybe not other people. It would definitely affect me in other ways if I was extremely obsessed with only looks. I think it would give me different personality issues, but that's just me. Personality issues that would fucking be detrimental in like other areas and shit, which actually may pull me backwards. That's how bad I think for me, the personality issues would affect me. So like, I think after watching, I mean, I think I've always had the same stance that the answer is somewhere in the middle for me. And like, I think that, yeah, you should like care about your looks and stuff, but I also don't think you should be obsessed with it to the point where it sort of like consumes your life. The other side isn't true. It's just bad advice. I think you should also, like, while you are doing your best to look the best version of yourself, also just being, you know, a cool person, social skills and shit. But he also outlined a pretty clear, streamlined way anyone can go up in their attractiveness levels by like a lot. Do basic things, like nothing even extreme. Like you don't gotta like bone smash and run a bunch of chemicals, like just basic shit. Like I feel like if you did that, you know, bare minimum, you know, which I always thought was just like normal. Getting leaner, obviously it will make you look better. Get a better haircut, tan, you know, teeth, maybe whiten your teeth. I don't know, use the whitening strips and shit. Cologne, better fitting clothes. Like I thought that was like basic normal shit, but that seems to be like a looks-maxing soft max thing. If you did that, you wouldn't even have to go that extreme, and then you don't have to be super obsessed over it. You know, I think he's an example of like a leading pioneer of the whole thing, so that's why he's so extreme with it. I mean, I think it was an interesting podcast for sure. I don't know, I feel like a lot of the information was like things that people already know. You know what I'm saying? Like looks are important. Like, yeah, there's reasons why they're important. Obviously here, when you look at this situation, better looking people are going to be, you know, better off than not good, like less good looking people when it comes to like a romantic sense, and especially first impressions and shit like that. I mean, I'll regurgitate, I don't think it's everything, you know. I think there's a lot that comes after that, you know, people aren't taking into account. And then he even said, like, I mean, and then he even was talking about how, like, when it comes to, like, a long-term, deeper relationship, he said things kind of change a little bit, where, you know, he wouldn't leave his current girlfriend for, like, a supermodel just based on looks. And he's like, for my own happiness, and I could be wrong, like, I'm kind of regurgitating shit by memory. It's like, for my own happiness, like, when it comes to a girl, I'm not gonna really give a shit about, you know, facial proportions and the measurements. You know, I'm like, I'm happy with this person, and that's like a totally, like, the romantic aspect is like a totally different thing. But he just does the looks maxing thing because, you know, he finds it logical, he does it for himself, and he takes it to the extreme. It's not from like an insecurity standpoint where he's like, oh, I feel less than, so I'm doing this because I feel less than, you know. And that's why I actually like him more than a lot of the other ones. Overall, though, those are kind of my thoughts. I think Blackpill's interesting. I think they should better define the community because it groups in some other darker communities, you know, where it's like, if you know what I'm talking about, like what I was talking about earlier with the incel forums, I think it kind of groups in, and I think it should be like a little bit better defined, the community. But I mean, dude, there's definitely good points, like looks matter, but I thought that was like, it seems like basic information, but then where they go further is for the people that need more extreme sort of changes to their face. That's where it's like, okay, well, I'm fucking smashing my face with a hammer, I'm getting all these surgeries, you know what I'm saying? But like, and the funny thing is it seems like, it's ironic, it seems like to me that in this era, guys are this is like the first time ever in this group and community that guys are putting in equal amount of time and effort into their looks as girls do. Because, dude, girls have been doing this forever. You know, like, and if you talk about like plastic surgery, like let's talk about putting in these basic time, doing all these different things to how you look. Dude, this is something girls have had on lock for fucking ever. Girls have been doing this I don't know, dude. Look at the Kardashians, even the 80s, like I don't know what they were doing during like Marilyn Monroe's time, but like it feels to me like, dude, girls have always been doing this. When plastic surgery came out, like who's like 95% of the people getting that kind of shit is girls. You know, when it comes to like makeup, like who developed makeup and you know, different like skincare techniques and different exercise and diet techniques, it was not men who did this. You know, it was girls who were doing their best to look better because they knew that like it was an understood thing for such a long time that guys are attracted to the way girls look. You know, that felt like they felt like their value, especially, you know, let's go way back. Before it was money and like men were supposed to like support, which it still is kind of like, but it wasn't how they looked. It was just them supporting, and then it was like the woman being beautiful and like womanly and such. Now, whatever your opinion is on the whole womanly part of it, the looking aspect of it always stayed for women. Like, women have always been putting so much effort into their looks. Like, that's why you see those memes when it's like your girlfriend's getting ready for like 4 hours. You know, oh, she's doing this, oh, she did this new diet. They're always doing these classes. It honestly feels like now this is the first time, this community is the first time guys are putting in equal effort, which is funny to me because all it really took was like effort. You know what I mean? Just putting effort into something. Girls have been doing it for eternity, bro. Like, since I don't even know. Like you go back, the Kardashians, Hollywood girls. And a great example of this, sorry, this is a little cutaway because I thought about it while I was editing, is goth girls. Goth girls that everyone loves so much. They put on pounds and pounds of makeup. They get a whole new style. They get a whole new attitude, and they get tons of tattoos. And you look at these goth girls. Have you ever seen them take off their makeup? The transformation, the effort that these goth girls put in to looking a certain way, they're not doing it. I know they're going to get mad. They're not doing it for men, right? That's what they'll say, you know. That's true. They're doing it because they like it, and all, whatever the reason is, they put in all this effort, and then they become like more desirable. I mean, this is another example of girls doing it for, they have this shit on lock, and it seems like men are just now, the Blackpill is men just now breaking into that idea. You know what I'm saying? Getting ready, doing all this preparatory shit. You know, anyway, back to the regular video. They're all doing the lip filler. Whether or not, like, people talk about optimal and shit like that, I don't know. But lip filler, I can see lip filler and, like, the Botox and, like, all these different things, the cosmetics, being the female equivalent of, like, bone smashing, taking all these, like, you know, peptides and then maybe getting, like, cosmetic surgery for guys. It's the same thing. You know, and it feels like it's just kind of like that was my takeaway. It feels like the first time, if we take Blackpill as a community, excluding the incels that like hate women and, you know, where it gets all dark and shit, but the looks part of it just seems like they've adopted what women have always thought for the last 50, 60 years. And yeah, because, like, I mean, I think from a girl's mind, it was always like, oh, like, guys only like the pretty girls. And now guys are sort of adopting the mentality that, like, oh, girls only like the hot, tall, like, attractive guys. But it's sort of, once again, it's like two sides of the same coin. You know, I think they think very similarly. And it's funny because a lot of times, and you can just apply this to so many groups, that the extremes of each group and like the opposite sides actually think like more similarly than not. And I thought that was like an interesting point that I sort of had while watching. But either way, dude, I mean, dude, there's been a lot of like guys that make that kind of content that, you know, I really don't like. I'm not gonna name drop any of them, but honestly, dude, I think the guy is interesting and I like his reasons for doing it. And if he's gonna do it and take it to the extreme, like, hey, do it and take it to the extreme, dude. Fuck, like, it's definitely entertaining. Like the whole meth thing, how he does the meth, like, holy shit, dude. He does sunken cheek, he does methamphetamines. It's kind of just a replacement for Adderall because it's also an amphetamine. I didn't get super into the science. Why the fuck am I yawning so much? But I thought that was super interesting. I wouldn't do it, but I think it's interesting to watch, you know. But that's why dude, he looks great though. So like clearly it's working. You know what I'm saying? People said before he had, I think what is called an ascension, which is like a giant glow up, he was doing the same thing but didn't get any results, which is a good example of the fact that people listen to people more when they're attractive, especially when talking about things that are related to looks. So it worked for him, so people are listening to him now, and that's why he's like blowing up and stuff. But dude, yeah, it's a fucking interesting topic. But those are my thoughts. And yeah. Anyway, but the cut's going well. I just posted the other video, so it's 2 days today, because I said I was gonna post the last one yesterday, but I fell asleep while editing again. So, you know, I kind of got cooked. But Civil Regime Black Friday, code Horsemeet on Civil Regime and Iron CRUE. Horsemeet t-shirts on Horsemeet.shop, and I hope you guys are enjoying these videos, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.